Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai Anek and coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Bola Tinubu appoints new service chiefs, names former EFCC boss Nuhu Ribadu as National Security Advisor. Federal government, Labour set up minimum wage committee. Plus, Ukrainian official Pepko says Russia launches new wave of drone attack. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is from the national scene, where President Tinubu has appointed Ribadu as his new National Security Advisor, NSA. Tinubu also approved the appointment of Adeniyi Adewale as the Acting Comptroller General of Customs, even as he removed all service chiefs that he met in office. The move by the president followed persistent calls by civil society organizations that the security architecture be rejigged and fresh hands allowed to handle the nation's security apparatus. And government-owned companies. This was contained in a statement by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF. In the statement signed by the Director of Information, Willie Bassi, on behalf of the SGF, George Akume, the President took the decision in the exercise of its constitutional powers and in the public interest. According to the statement, the dissolution does not affect boards, commissions and councils listed in the third schedule, section 153, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. The permanent secretaries were also directed to route their correspondences to the Office of the President through the Office of the SGF. And the rest of the world move in the quest for renewable and other sources of clean energy. Tinubu made the call during a meeting with the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State, Bureau of Energy Resources, Geoffrey Perry, at the State House, Abuja. The president presented his perspectives to the U.S. delegation on the role of Nigeria as an oil-producing country and the importance of revenue from fossil oil to national economic well-being. The Nigeria's leader appealed to the United States and other developed nations to recognize that Nigeria and Africa have a challenge of poverty that must be addressed. He urged the Assistant Secretary of State to impress on his home government the urgency of responding to the needs of Nigeria. According to him, Nigeria will honor all its obligations to climate change and quest for clean energy. Away from that, the federal government has said that it had set up a steering committee to consider the various demands presented by the organized labor following the removal of fuel subsidy. The special advisor to the President on Communications, Special Duties and Strategy, Dele Alake, and presidents of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and Trade Unions of Nigeria, TUC, Joe Ajaero and Festus Osifo, Alake said the engagement featured the creation of a steering committee to which several sub-committees would report on various aspects of the demands made by the organized labor. On his part, the TUC President Osifo explained that the Presidential Steering Committee would superintend over other technical sub-committees to consider key aspects of the talks, such as the rollout of converted mass transit vehicles running on compressed natural gas, as well as those to review the minimum wage. Meanwhile, the NLC President Ajero noted that the meeting is intentionally to give life to the various agreements that were reached, adding that the set-up committees will commence work immediately to enable the federal government and the union conclude negotiations in 8 weeks. Meanwhile, the federal government has said 6 new companies have received regulatory authority. NMDRA Farouk Ahmed made this disclosure to newsmen at the presidential villa. Farouk stated that apart from the approved 6, several companies applied for permits to import petroleum in due course. He also debunked insinuation that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) had given approval to Dangote Group to import petroleum, saying that the company has no powers to give such approval. In a separate development, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission by President Bola Tinubu disclosing that a stakeholders workshop will hold next month to iron out the rough edges, while highlighting the granting of legislative autonomy to the federating state on matters relating to the generation, transmission and distribution of electricity in their respective jurisdiction. NERC, in a public notice, described it as a very significant development. It stated that the landmark legislation marked a pivotal shift in the structure of the power sector. The Commission maintained that an orderly transition on security, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has arrested 31,675 drug offenders, out of which 5,147 were prosecuted and convicted, with over 6.3 million kilograms of assorted drugs seized since the appointment of the chairman and chief Abuja with the country representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime (UNODC) Oliver Stope said the fight against substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking had yielded significant results in the last 29 months since he came on board. Mawa, however, charged the society to drop the stigmatization that discourages drug users from seeking treatment, a development which he lamented has serious socio-economic repercussions for individuals and their families. An orderly and responsible drawdown of the UN peacekeeping mission in Mali, known as MIC, with their partners in West Africa to help them tackle the urgent security and governance challenges in Mali, noting that they had welcomed consultations with regional leaders on additional steps to promote stability, transferring power to an elected civilian administration by March 2024. Still in Africa, European officials have reportedly promised Tunisia ever-growing amounts of aid to prevent migrants from reaching Europe's shores. France's Dominion, in a visit to Tunisia, announced the budget to train Tunisian border guards and equip them. Reports say the immediate financial package of €100 million to combat irregular migration, as announced by the European Commission, will open up significant additional possibilities. On the foreign scene, a senior Ukrainian military official, Serhiy Popko, says Russia has launched another massive airstrike on Kyiv today with Iran-made attack drones, prompting the air raid alarm to go off for over 3 hours. According to Popko, about 24 drones targets were identified and destroyed by the forces, adding that it is the second Shahed drone attack on Kyiv this month. bank off the Greek coast have pleaded not guilty. Therefore, one of the men said his client was a passenger, not a smuggler. According to reports, at least 78 migrants are known to have died in the disaster, but many more are feared to have drowned. The UN's Human Rights Office say that up to 500 people are still missing. The 9 suspects all appeared at the Kalamata court yesterday to face charges of negligent manslaughter, exposing lives to danger, causing a shipwreck, and human trafficking. The suspects will be back in court today, when it will be decided whether they will remain in jail until the start of the trial. Still to come in the news. Bukayo Saka scores first career hat-trick as England beats North Macedonia in Euro 2024 qualifiers. Stay tuned for details after this timeout. On a business news, the federal government has confirmed that it had commenced the implementation of the payment of 7.5% value-added tax on automotive gas oil (AGO), popularly called diesel. Officials of the Nigeria Customs Service and Federal Inland Revenue Service confirmed this in Abuja, stressing that the AGO was not exempted from the payment of VAT based on the VAT Modification Order 2021. The development was, however, condemned by Nigerians who pointed out that citizens were still trying to adjust to the hike in the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, not knowing that plans had been perfected to further raise payments for diesel. When asked by newsmen if the NCS was now collecting 7.5% VAT on the FIRS, Toby Wojola also confirmed the development, stressing that it was the position of the VAT modification order. Still in business, Naira has slumped further to the dollar after closing at 770.38 per dollar at the end of trading on the investor and exporter forex window yesterday. According to figures obtained from the FMDQ, trading opened at 703.50 Naira per dollar and hit a high of 799 Naira per dollar before closing at 770.38 Naira per dollar. Recall that the Central Bank of Nigeria last week directed deposit money banks to remove the rate cap on the Naira at the I&E window to allow for a free float of the national currency against the dollar and other global currencies. The banking regulator explained its new forex operation in its report on understanding the operational changes to the foreign exchange market by collapsing all segments in the FX market into the I&E window. It said this meant all eligible FX transactions in the market will only be done via the I&E window, as all other windows ceased to exist. On the concept of the willing buyer and willing seller model, it explained that the rates were mutually agreed by both parties. We move now into health. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) says it has started a nationwide mop-up of unregistered herbal medicine. The Director General of NAFDAC, Mojiso's discovery of the sale of uncertified, unregistered herbal medicine by Dr. Salisu Sani, popularly known as Babang Aisha, about preparations. This was as she reiterated NAFDAC's determination to ensure that only safe and efficacious had on Wednesday, June 14, raided and sealed the production factory of Babang Aisha at Tarth on Abuja-Kaduna Road. Still in health, medical experts have blamed the alarming rate of babies born with HIV in Nigeria and women to access HIV testing, noting that people who test positive must be placed on treatment and encouraged to deliver in certified health facilities for early infant diagnosis services. They also identified low antenatal uptake and low delivery in certified health facilities by mothers as other reasons responsible for HIV in infants. The medical experts called for training of traditional birth attendants in HIV management, adding that pregnant women patronizing them should have access to HIV testing to further prevent mother-to-child week of his career, as England made it 4 wins out of 4 Euro 2024 qualifiers by thrashing North Macedonia at Old Trafford. Gareth Southgate's sides are well on course to qualify for the tournament in Germany next summer, and even though North Macedonia provided meager opposition, England still demonstrated the dazzling array of attacking options they have at their disposal. Saka added the second from Kyle Walker's pass 9 minutes later, and Marcus Rashford scored third on the stroke of half when Saka controlled a perfect long pass by Trent Alexander-Arnold before sending a thunderous left foot finish high past keeper Stoll Demsfresky. Still in 2-0 win against the 10-man visitors in Samsun. The Wales defense came under heavy criticism after it into the own net after 9 minutes, only for VAR to rule the goal out for offside. As the hour marked tick by, Turkey was still struggling to beat Turkey talisman and Inter Milan midfielder Hakan Çalhanoğlu, but his penalty was a nice height forward who got down to his right to turn the ball away from danger. On our entertainment news, record breaker Hilda Bassi has received her plaque from Guinness World Record for her actually broken the record for the longest cooking marathon by an individual with a time of 93 hours 11 minutes, surpassing the 5 minutes in 2019. Reports say the 26-year-old Akwa Ibom chef cooked over 100 pots of food during her 4-day kitchen stint, which began on May 11 and ended on May 15. Hilda attempted to set a record of 100 hours, however, early on in the attempt. The renowned chef shared a video that saw her receive the boxed parcel at the gate from the delivery man while buzzing with great excitement. Still on entertainment, Afrobeat street sensation Portable has declared his intention to win the Grammys. The Afrobeat singer was awarded the Golden Star Artist of the Year prize for his efforts in the year is to bring home the Grammys. Since breaking into the mainstream, Portable has reportedly become one of the most talked about celebrities in Nigeria because of his several news-making antics and lifestyle. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 12. I am Uyai Anyeka, and thanks for watching and do enjoy the rest of